Good afternoon. My name is Sandy Lampe, and I will be doing my informative speech on the very controversial issue of physician-assisted suicide. There is a difference between a person who is dying and a person who is suicidal. I do not want to die. I am dying. A quote by Brittany Maynard. There is a controversy over assisted suicide between those who are in favor of physicians assisting those who are terminally ill to peacefully and humanely end their own life. Then there are those who believe that assisted suicide is unethical and morally wrong. First, I will talk about how those in favor believe that assisted suicide allows individuals who are terminally ill to decide how they wish to die, since the outcome will be the same, but without substantial pain and suffering. Then, I will talk about how medical doctors make an oath to maintain the well-being of their patients, and how the direct intention to end a life is simply unethical. If a human being is terminally ill with less than 6 months of life to live, those in favor believe that they should have the right to choose how they die. If you or someone you love was told by a physician that you had a condition that was going to kill you in roughly 6 months, and chances were that you were going to have to be heavily sedated to the point of unconsciousness due to extreme pain and suffering, with a high chance of loss of all motor functions with partial brain functions until the time you passed, would you consider dying with those around who love you before experiencing all of those horrible things? That is the choice that 28-year-old Brittany Maynard made when she was diagnosed with a massive brain tumor with less than 6 months of life to live. She had the option of undergoing full brain radiation, which came with severe pain, emotional distress, the possibility of blindness, as well as mental and physical impairments, only to give her a few extra months of life. So she chose to end her life with her family by her side. Although it is an incredibly hard choice to make, it is one that has caused controversy as far back as the 1600s. People in favor of assisted suicide believe that terminally ill patients shouldn't have to live their last months of life in deep and emotional, physical pain. They believe that a human being deserves the right to choose to have a good death, rather than spend their last months having a very poor quality of life. The Death with Dignity Act, which is legal in the states including California, Colorado, Hawaii, Vermont, and Washington, as well as Oregon, allows mentally competent adults to receive prescription medications prescribed by a physician in order to peacefully and painlessly fall into an irreversible sleep. In order to follow through with assisted suicide, 2 separate physicians must confirm a patient's diagnosis, prognosis, mental stability, and voluntariness, according to deathwithdignity.org. Then there are 2 waiting periods. The first is a 15-day wait oral request and another 48-hour wait after a written request to ensure it is something that is seriously considered. By adding a voluntary option, the continuum of end-of-life care, these laws give patients dignity, control, and peace of mind during their final days with family and loved ones. For assisted suicide proponents, there is little, if any, discernible difference between providing sedation to keep terminally ill patients unconscious while they die and simply assisting them to terminate their lives while they still possess the capacity to do so, according to Dee Pergola. If they're choosing to suffer less and put themselves and their families through less pain, they should have the right to do so. However, medical doctors declared by oath to maintain the health and well-being of their patients, to respect autonomy and have the utmost respect for human life, saving one whenever humanly possible. Medicine inherently possesses particular goals, but the direct and intentional killing of patients has never been one of them, according to Dee Pergola. Since clinicians are bound to save life and not take it, it follows that clinicians should not kill in principle. Therefore, assisted suicide is seen to be a morally illicit option by those who are not in favor of this law, according to Dee Pergola. One major argument against assisted suicide creates new risk for the abuse of patients, and especially the most vulnerable. The danger of exerting a hidden pressure on vulnerable people is very real, according to the World Medical Journal. There is a pressure to cut health costs, and assisted suicide is one of the cheapest things that can be done for a patient with a severe, serious illness. With that being said, if someone does not have the funds necessary to survive, is it then okay for a doctor to recommend assisted suicide? The main problem may be to differentiate between what is really done for the patient and what is done out of comfort for the family and the caring team, according to the World Medical Journal. Finally, we have the slippery slope argument. Essentially, people get used to things, so who is to say that assisted suicide won't be applicable for children or mentally ill patients in the future? This precedes a very slippery slope, according to Miguel Roku. Assisted suicide may be a stepping stone on the way to other forms of direct euthanasia, such as incompetent patients by advanced directive or suicide in the elderly. In conclusion, assisted suicide is a widely controversial issue, with those in favor of giving a human being the right to decide how they wish to carry out their final days of life. Then there are those who believe that assisted suicide is unethical and morally wrong. First, I talked about how assisted suicide allows for individuals who are terminally ill to have a choice in how they die, being that it is imminent, but without extreme pain and suffering. Then I talked about how the fact that medical doctors made an oath to be unconditionally devoted to supporting every life, and the direct intention to end a life is simply unethical. I would not tell anyone else that they should choose death with dignity. My question is, who thinks that they have the right to tell me that I don't deserve this choice? That I deserve to suffer for weeks or months in tremendous amounts of physical and emotional pain? A quote by Brittany Maynard. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day.